Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite team in the Bay Area. And on today's episode, we have Scott Reedy, who he's going to come on and talk about his path to the Sharks, explain why he uses his good looks to score goals, and tells me what a cake eater is. So all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Sharks.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, JD Young, contributor at Fear the Fin and San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can subscribe on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, just go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell. That way you know exactly when every episode of Locked On Sharks comes out. And we have Sharks prospect. I guess he's still prospect. The borderline of where the prospect designation ends. But we have Sharks/Barracuda forward Scott Reedy come on talk about his path to the NHL, kind of how he utilizes his skills. And we get to know Scott a little bit better off the ice, and he explains to me what a cake eater is. So without further ado, enjoy my conversation with Scott Reedy. And now we bring in Scott Reedy, Sharks prospect. Prospect still, I guess we'll still call you prospect. We'll go since just year 2 now of pro hockey. How are you doing today, Scott?
I'm doing great. Just got back from the rink a little bit ago, cooked up some breakfast, and now ready to go for this podcast.
Yeah, you're leaving for Iowa here in a couple of days to get the Barracuda season underway. Wanted to get you on and kind of get to know you a little bit more, especially for Sharks fans. Quickly becoming a fan favorite among Sharks fans. But let's go way back before you were drafted. When did you realize I might be drafted and might be an actual NHL player one day?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a different path for everyone, but I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to go down and play high school hockey at Shattuck St. Mary's, and I think that was kind of the moment that I took it seriously and played a couple of years there, and then was fortunate enough to make the U.S. national team development program, and I felt like I was tracking and would have a chance down the line to develop into an NHL player.
So what was your actual draft day experience like? Were you at home? Were you there? What were you doing waiting to get called?
Yeah, I was pretty fortunate. It was actually my draft year was down in Chicago, which is where a lot of my extended family's from. So I had a lot of family there, and it's only a short drive from Minnesota. So my family, like I said, was there, and friends and stuff. So it was a nice spot to have the draft my year, and it was a really cool experience for me.
So you mentioned the U.S. National team, and we've seen such an increase in the player development over the last couple of years. Guys getting drafted higher and higher picks. Your draft class, there was, like Quinn Hughes. There was a bunch of guys in your draft class, and you saw, Thomas Borlow famously from it. And even, last year's draft class was a bunch of guys in the first round. What do you think is kind of led to this development of USA hockey and kind of where USA hockey's been going at the past few years?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great opportunity to play against, the best players, in the U.S. Obviously with competition and practice, and then obviously getting to play against, USHL players at that young age was really important for development, and being able to play internationally and represent your country. It just creates a competitive atmosphere and just a lot of opportunity to excel. And obviously there's a big emphasis on development there. Which was huge for us at that age to be able to, work with our coaches extra and just have that extra time at the rink to really hone in our skills and, keep moving our progress on.
All right. So you went to University of Minnesota. Were you always going to go to there? Did you have any offers, or was that like, I'm going to University of Minnesota growing up as a Minnesota kid?
Yeah, I think growing up in Minnesota, I definitely always wanted to go there. I got drafted by the Portland Winterhawks in the WHL as well, which is with my early physical progression. I thought that was somewhat of an option, but I was pretty locked in on on Minnesota the whole time. Once I got that the opportunity to commit there, it was pretty much game over for me. I got to tour the facilities and meet the coaches, see campus and everything. I was in love with it from day one, so I was pretty much locked in there the entire time.
How much do you dislike Minnesota State?
we won't talk about it on here. It's definitely a rivalry.
Okay, gotcha. So after you finished up your senior year, you went to the Barracuda after that, and you scored 5 goals in 17 games. Why do you think your transition was kind of, I don't want to say easy? Why do you think you kind of picked up pro hockey so well? Was it, maybe the competition level in the NCAA, or why do you think your game has been sticking in the pro level?
Yeah, I think I've always, for the past handful of years now, I think I've always played a pro style game. I thought I played a game that could translate to the next level pretty easily, and that's kind of what I saw in my transition to the AHL. And fortunately, I was given some opportunity early on there to be able to play in positions where I could score goals and hop right in offensively. So that I was really fortunate to hop in like that. And like I said, I think just spending 4 years at Minnesota, really dialing in my game and just trying to feel my way through of what can translate at the next level. The 4 years really helped me develop and translate easily.
All right, guys, before we continue with Scott Reedy, we talk about the Barracuda and kind of, his what he does well, and of course, confusing goalies with his good look. Do want to take a quick break, talk to you guys about our friends over at SimpliSafe. If you guys aren't aware, SimpliSafe, the best way to protect your home. The numbers don't lie. In the last decade, over 4 million people have chosen SimpliSafe home security to protect their home. You don't earn the trust of that many people without doing something right. At SimpliSafe, your safety is the only thing that matters. And with it, they have 24/7 professional monitoring. SimpliSafe agents call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency. Even if you're not home or you can't be reached, SimpliSafe blankets your home in protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door. High definition security cameras for inside and outside your home. Smarter ways to detect motion. That way, alert you only when the threat is real. And their monitoring experts use proprietary advanced response technology to visually confirm when a break-in is real, so that way you get the highest priority police dispatch. So customize your perfect system for your home in just a few minutes by visiting simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl. Save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl to learn more. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. And then last year, you had your first full season in San Jose. You 18 goals in your 38 AHL games. So again, is it just how did you feel going through that? Oh wow, this I feel like I belong here. That's a lot of goals in a short amount of time, especially in your first season, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was, for me, it was just finding what I do best, and a lot of those goals came right around the net front, and just being put in those opportunities on the power play and stuff, and just kind of sticking to my game. I think everyone can kind of do certain things. That's why they got to this level, and for me, it was just sticking to those things and just being in the right areas and just working on those things in practice to make sure that when I got the opportunities, that I'd be able to capitalize on them.
What makes you such a good goal scorer, especially in front of that? Is it, my theory is your good looks. You kind of blind or confuse the goalie. They don't know what to do. They're like, how is this guy so handsome here? Especially now that you don't have to wear the cage anymore. Right. Is that what makes you so deadly in front of the net like that?
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
They're just too good looking. They don't know what to do.
No, I think a lot of it is, like I said, I've spent most of my career there, the past handful of years, of just playing in front of the net. Going back to NTDP, my 17th year, scored a lot of goals that year, and a lot of the past 5 years was just thinking back on what I had success on, and just implementing that back in my game. So I think that's where I've thrived a lot, and working on other ways to score and all that is part of the process. But that's where I've had a lot of success. So I think that on top of my hand-eye and just overall sense of when the puck's coming to certain areas. It's just kind of a thinking game around there and timing and stuff. So I think I've, sort of tried to master that over the past couple of years of just timing, hand-eye coordination, and being in the right place at the right time.
I gotta ask. I mean, I know Joe Pavelski, famous Sharks, Wisconsin boy, not the, but like it kind of seems like you have a lot of the same kind of game as him. Did you kind of watch him growing up, and see like the way he works in front of the net? I know his tipping ability is hard. It's hard to kind of do the same thing he does, but do you try to kind of pull some aspects from his game, or who do you try to model your game after?
For sure. I think he was always a guy that I talked about with whether it was my family advisor growing up, agent now, but coaches as well. He was always a guy I kind of watched, just the way he finds ice in front of the net, and obviously his hand-eye is off the charts. But just you can tell his hockey sense when he's in there, the way he thinks the game around the net and just getting open and getting his stick available is, there's not really anyone else who does it like him. So I've always kind of paid attention to what he does and how he got so good at it. And obviously there's a lot of reps in practice that go along with it, but he's just gifted in that way. And he's definitely someone I look up to in that aspect.
All right. So then, of course, last year you made the Sharks, and once you got up there, you stuck around and were consistently in the lineup. What was that like for you? Kind of that transition, short term in the AHL and playing in the NHL. Kind of what was the big differences, and what was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was my first year playing pro. Just kind of had my head down, working hard in the AHL, trying to get my opportunities. But like you said, once I got called up there and scored my first goal, I was able to stick around and stay in the lineup and stuff. And I was just sticking to my game, like I've been talking about up there. I think it's something that translates at this point at AHL and NHL. So I just stuck to my game up there and got to the front of the net, scored goals right around there, and then obviously just tried to make smart decisions with the puck. And but yeah, it's definitely pretty easy to do that up there. I think once you get to the NHL level, everyone's so smart and positionally sound. It makes it a lot easier, and guys communicate. It's everyone's on the same page up there. It's pretty smooth sailing. But like I said, I just stuck to my game up there, and it paid off.
Do you get a little starstruck where you're like, oh wow, I'm like playing against Connor McDavid or some of these other guys? Is it a little like, at least for the first time?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first time for anyone, you'd be crazy to not be a little starstruck. But it's a quick couple of seconds, and then puck drops, and you got to be dialed in. You kind of forget about it, but it is pretty crazy, especially those first couple of games you play against guys like that. It's you can't really feel that feeling until you're out there.
All right, so you're starting this year on the Barracuda team, which seems to have a huge talent infusion, especially along the forward line. You talk about that 2020 draft class that's coming in. You have William Eklund, a bunch of guys here, and a lot of Sharks fans are really excited about the Barracuda this year. Kind of what's your expectations for the Barracuda, or as long as you're there? I assume you're going to be back up in the NHL at some point, but kind of what's your expectations while you're down there for the team and for yourself?
Yeah, like you said, I think there's definitely a lot of talent down here this year. There's definitely going to be some competition to see who's playing the big minutes and playing on the power play. It's all got to be earned for sure. But even the older guys we added this year, I think are going to be great for our younger guys. The coaching staff, everything seems pretty dialed in right now, and practices have been good. So I think it's just going to be on us to keep the competition going in practice and really practice at a high pace and just push each other to compete for NHL jobs sooner rather than later.
Now with the AHL, like the schedule's a little bit more, it's like back to back on the weekend, and then you might have a game in the middle of the weekend, but mostly it's kind of the weekend. While the NHL's more of a grind. How is that kind of toll on your body, or how long does it kind of take to get used to, at least for the NHL grind?
Yeah, I mean, last year was my first full year, obviously. So I was coming off of just playing 30 some games in college hockey, which was definitely not as grueling on the body. So last year was a little bit of a wake up call. Just I've always tried to be good about maintaining my body and stuff, but it's something you got to do every day up here when you're playing that many games. It's pretty much automatic that you'll be dealing with something at some point. So it's just about getting in the gym, showing up a little earlier, staying a little late, and just working on the body and utilizing the resources we have around there, just to stay on top of it. But yeah, it's definitely that's probably the biggest change from college hockey to pro, is just the amount of games and the amount of stress on your body and stuff.
So speaking about the facilities, I know the Sharks, they have the new TechCU arena. How is it in there? I mean, I've got to tour, a little bit of it when they were still kind of putting it together. How is the new arena, especially compared to the facilities last year?
Yeah, it's great. The locker room's great. Everything's looking good so far. The only issue we're having is the weight room's up about 3 flights of stairs, so the boys are having a little trouble getting up there in the mornings. But no, it looks great. The facilities look great, and there's a little bit more space in the weight room, stuff like that. Just little things that will help make a difference for all of us to utilize the space and make it worth our while for sure.
I know the weight room is like, there's a window right across where I guess it's like there's like a fire department training facility. So the expectation, you might be working out and they might have a building ablaze while you're trying to work out as they're practicing taking down fires. That's that's got to be, at least everyone will be in the weight room when that happens, I assume, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. We last year we didn't really have any windows in the weight room, so it's nice to just get some sunlight in there and stuff too. So.
All right, guys, before we continue conversation with Scott Reedy, explains to me what a cake eater is. Do want to take a quick break, let you guys know about Locked On NHL. Thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. And if you're watching this right now, just go ahead and click the YouTube subscribe button, hit the notifications. That way you know whenever every episode of Locked On Sharks is available. But when you're done listening to this, go check out the Locked On NHL show. They got you covered for everything with the NHL. They have local experts every day of the week. Wednesdays is Western Conference Wednesdays. Monday, Gil from Locked On Islanders breaks down the biggest news stories of the weekend. Thursdays, they do the power rankings. So make sure you guys go check out Locked On NHL wherever you get podcasts. And of course, subscribe on YouTube as well. All right, let's get into some of your kind of get to know you a little bit better. So pre-game rituals, are you a superstitious guy? Are you a little stitious guy? Or you kind of let it flow guy?
A little stitious. I think I get in my head, as everyone does a little bit, with things are going right. Things like wearing the same suit after a win. I do some of that little stuff, but I try to stay loose. I think being too superstitious kind of got to my head a little bit at some point. So I try to stay loose. Sometimes I'll listen to the same music, wear the same suit type of thing, but nothing too crazy.
Now, when it comes to the suits, I've seen Bordelot has some drip. Are you going to try to keep up with him this year?
Yeah, I think I think I'll have to play a little bit of catch up with him. I think he's ahead of the game right now, but I'll for sure add to the wardrobe and be pushing him for sure.
And then pregame meal, it's pretty much the same for most people. Some sort of chicken and pasta, I assume, is kind of the pregame meal. Yeah,
for sure. I have a lot of fruit. So that's kind of my thing, whether it's, a smaller smoothie bowl or smaller smoothie, or just having an apple or things like that. But I definitely get a lot of fruit in me. And then I have some honey too. That's my little trick.
There you go. I have to ask, as a Minnesota kid, a cake eater in Minnesota, can you explain it to us what's a cake eater?
Yeah. Well, it's a term they call the people from Edina, Minnesota. Mm-hmm. It's kind of it's a wealthier city, I guess you could say. So it's just kind of affiliated with having a little bit of privilege type of thing. I think it's kind of a jealous slang that people like to throw around. Edina's pretty good at pretty much everything consistently, especially hockey. So people like to hate on the top dog, but yeah, that's pretty much it there.
All right. Socks and skates. You're not a monster, right? Who doesn't wear socks with your skates, are you?
No, I wear socks.
Okay.
I have to.
Yeah. Ryan Merkley, noted monster, does not wear socks.
Yeah, it's pretty greasy if you ask me, but everyone's got their own thing.
What was the last thing you binge watched?
Probably Ozarks. I've been getting into that lately.
Gotcha. And then this summer, what was your highlight of the summer this year? Kind of the big thing you did?
Oh, for sure. I mean, brother's bachelor party. That's 1B, but 1A was his wedding, my brother's wedding. Being the best man was a special experience there, and it was really cool to see how happy him and his new wife were on that day. It was just an unreal experience. Probably one of the best days of my life for sure.
That's awesome. Scott, you said it all. If you have anything you want to plug, anybody you want to say hi to the family, say hi to the cake eaters, anything, you have all the time in the world, buddy.
For sure. Yeah. I'll say hi to my family and hi to my girlfriend back home.
All right. Thanks so much, Scott. We can't wait to see you. We're very excited about the Barracuda. Good luck this weekend in Iowa, and hope to see you back on the Sharks here real soon, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Scott Reedy. Very handsome. No, but I think it won't be very long until he's back on the Sharks. I think he provides that net front presence that the Sharks kind of are going to be lacking. I know Luke Cunning can kind of do the same thing, but I don't think we'll see Reedy in the AHL too long. That's why I wanted to try to grab him now before he's back up in the Sharks, and I'm not able to get as free access with him. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Start getting ready for the weekend's games. We got the Hurricanes game on Friday, and then we got the Blackhawks game on Saturday. So we'll start getting you guys ready for those. So make sure you guys are following along on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can also subscribe wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Odyssey, you name it. Wherever you can listen to a podcast, you can find Locked On Sharks. And then you can watch on YouTube as well. So I'm in my work right now using one of the old offices. So yes, thank you guys to work. But make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at myfryhole. And until then, we'll be back tomorrow. Bye, friends.